place that ever was.
Do you remember the movie Halloween Town? The one where this little girl finds out she's a witch and she gets transported to this little village full of other magical creatures? What am I saying? Of course you remember Halloween Town. Okay. Specifically, do you remember Gord's cottage? The concept is every time you lose your phone or your keys or whatever it is, it doesn't just vanish out of sight, it actually disappears into this other world. But that bridge between reality and fantasy is just that, something one could pass through again and again. My cat just moved my screen. Hi, baby. My sleepy. What are we? Whoa. Hey, baby. Today I'm going to talk to you about parallel worlds, what this looks like, and why it works. I'm also going to be talking about the commonalities between the movie Backrooms and the book Piranesi. How do you pronounce Piranesi? Neasy. Piranesi? Let me look this up real fast. Piranesi? Nazy. Piranesi. Piranesi. Places like Gord's Cottage, the movie Backrooms, or Susanna Clarke's Piranesi all have the same thing in common: the prevalence and success of parallel worlds. Ah! Oh my god, I had to burp and it wouldn't come out. Burp. Welcome to Four Mirrors with me, Jasmine. A few fun facts about me. My favorite color is green. My cats are named after herbal teas, and I take stories too seriously. Like, seriously. It's become annoying now that we got that out of the way. I'm drafting another project right now about Piranesi, and it's kind of a lot. I had to take a break from writing and thought, what better way to wind down than at the movies? I wanted to feel something, like that true like horror, scary movie feeling. So naturally, I bought a ticket to go see Backrooms. Great movie, by the way. 10 out of 10 recommend. By the midpoint in this movie, I was arrested by its familiarity. Not in a bad way, not at all, far from it. I actually found the movie to be quite refreshing, actually, but it did remind me a lot of Piranesi. I think this has to do with the delivery of the parallel world trope. The parallel world trope is defined as a fictional world that exists alongside or in relation to the ordinary world but is separate from it. Academia typically splits this concept into three different things: liminal space theory, which covers the in between spaces; secondary world, for independent or overlapped spaces; and portal fantasy, which is a version of the two, except now there's a doorway. And in considering the success of movies like Backrooms or books like Piranesi, I've come to one conclusion: parallel worlds in media are king. And I'm starting to think they always have been. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get some water because I'm really thirsty. I'm talking a lot, so I'll be right back. You won't even notice I'm gone. ASMR for Kate. Kate, I see you. ASMR just for you, girl. Just for you, girl. I'll be right back. Ugh. Where was I? And this isn't the type of trope that burns out fast like 2015 dystopia. It's lasted for a long time, dating all the way back to 1865 with Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. When the idea of parallel worlds first emerged, it did so under the name the other world. The primitive idea of parallel worlds were based around cultures of death and where to go after. There's the Duat, the Egyptian realm of the dead, to the Greek underworld, home of Hades, and the Christian concept of heaven and hell, and many more. The idea of having somewhere to go once you passed opened a direct set of consequences from our world into the other. In fact, what we did in this world had a specific outcome on what would happen in the other. And the only way to get there was to die or go through a process of catabasis, like on a boat or something. Celtic mythology has had the greatest influence on parallel worlds as we know them today. This is some of the first documented portrayals of a world where time moves differently and the limits of human experience, like illness, hunger, or aging, are no longer a problem. The gates to the other world weren't abstract. They were landmarks of the earth, like caves or forests or lakes. Next came the medieval romance period of the 1500s and the fairy tale explosion of the 1600s, where the other worlds opened themselves up to moral implications. Dominated by Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, absolute freaks of their time, the other world started pulling its own weight narratively, where the point was to convey a theme. The gates of these worlds were a reflection of their time, through mirrors or wells or literal doors. What came next is one of my favorites, the Victorian fantasy, where Alice's story was first born. The Victorian age is a whole conversation on its own, but the point is that the period was obsessed with itself. It operationalized the inner world and interrogated what it meant to be an individual. Parallel worlds in this era stopped being about morality and more about psychology. Each of these periods became a stepping stone for the next until everything layered on top of itself. Which is why parallel worlds as we know them today carry all of this at once. A direct consequence between worlds, a rejection of human limits, a moral or thematic weight, and the psychology of the protagonist at the foreground. Would also recognize this trope from traveling through the crawl space in Coraline, Jordan Peele's Us, Stranger Things, Silent Hill 2, Piranesi, of course, and more recently, The Backrooms. If anything, this is a successful trope. We almost can't get enough of it. So, my next question is why? Why do we want to see more of it? And in considering my answer, I thought to myself, well, if art truly does imitate life, then I think it's safe to say no matter what, across a relatively modern time, we have wanted one thing from this world: escape. Not just any type of escape, but the kind that still feels familiar. It's not that we're simply entertained by a fresh fantasy or a true secondary world like Harry Potter or something. We aim to escape and still feel the safety and the comfort of what we already know. The same way a character might carry around a necklace or a ring to remember their late parent, we want to carry something familiar into this other world. I would be damned if you couldn't say for yourself that you've never thought about starting over or running away. Please don't let me be alone here. I mean, how could you not? Stepping into a new world and then finding out who you'll become once you're in it? C.S. Lewis, the author of what became the Narnia series, says it perfectly. If I find in myself desires which nothing in this world can satisfy, the only logical explanation is that I was made for another world. It's a desire that most of us recognize but rarely know what to do with in our actual lives. Because the change that we're craving isn't gradual or comfortable. And in media, we see it as quick as stepping through a door and embracing our new lives. But the unfortunate thing about escaping the known is that you're entering the unknown. New setting, new ways, everything to learn. A difficulty so great that it feels impossible in any condition outside of fiction. Just as you can accept that one could experience romantic love vicariously through a romance novel, I think it's fair to say that we comfort ourselves from experiencing this great desire for change vicariously through parallel worlds. It goes without saying that it's easier to watch our beloved characters make mistakes than make those mistakes of our own. Kane Parsons' Backrooms, written by Will Sudick, Susanna Clark's Piranesi, Coraline, and even Gord's Cottage all approach this understanding from the same perspective. The parallel worlds in each storyline isn't a separate entity like in Narnia. They are dependent creations structured from human perception, memory, cultural, and emotional residue. Gord's cottage loses its function the moment our world stops losing things, and the other world in Coraline would fail its function if it didn't have the original world to siphon from. So, with Backrooms, the entire setting is explained to be memories of places or people. The Backrooms itself is sort of digesting our world by remembering it again and again until the memory is no longer reliable, until it becomes warped and unsettling. The Backrooms start as a reflection of our world, then that reflection has a reflection on its own, and the cycle repeats again and again like a game of telephone. Okay, so I know the Backrooms from the horror game. I don't know if it was anything before that, like a creepypasta or something, but I know the Backrooms from the horror game. And the movie kept that horror aspect that we all know and love. And I'm not going to give any major spoilers, but there was a sort of collision between the worlds of the real world and the Backrooms world, where like it was literally a face to face reflection almost. And in this case, the collision of the parallel worlds had a pretty messed up outcome. And whenever this happens in stories, they usually end up having a pretty messed up outcome. Think Coraline's confrontation with the other mother in order to accept her real family as they are. Or all of the messed up stuff that happened in Jordan Peele's Us. Girl. And of everything that I listed above, Backrooms and Piranesi push this the furthest. They aren't just using the dependent world concept, they're based on nothing else. Every corner of both of these worlds exists because our world gave it something to remember or mimic or siphon from or try to recreate. Which is why, probably when I was sitting in that theater, I was like, I've seen this before. I was like, I could have sworn I've just seen this because I had. In Piranesi, we follow a man living alone inside an infinite house, a labyrinth full of endless halls and a bunch of statues and the literal ocean trapped inside. He keeps meticulous journals and has no memory of who he was before, and refers to himself by the name a visitor gave him. The world he inhabits is breathtaking and seems entirely detached from reality as we know it. Except for that, it's not really. And how that connection plays through is where I think the setting gets really interesting. But to go off topic just a little bit, there are some similarities between Backrooms and Piranesi that go way beyond the parallel trope that, for the love of the game, I would love to speed run for you now. Number one, both stories take place in a never ending labyrinth that only grows stranger in direct relation to the world it fails to mimic. Number two, both stories give us a character so mentally eroded by their time in that false yet familiar place that they've gone fully bonker silly style. Number three, both have a figure who knows far more about the world than the protagonist and isn't telling. And then number four, our savior, the woman with a story of her own who ultimately dedicates herself to finding and pulling back the man who's been slowly losing his mind. And lastly, as the cherry on top, there's the actor Chiwetel Ejiofor. Chiwetel Ejiofor is the voiceover for the audiobook Piranesi. I couldn't help but wonder how this influenced his interest in the movie and how his perceptions of Piranesi informed his character as Clark in Backrooms. Ultimately, parallel worlds endure because the desire that created it does too. That door is not going to go anywhere. We're always going to want to know how to bring the familiar to the other side. I had a lot of fun writing this. I'm a fan of parallel worlds, if that isn't obvious. I love what I know just as much as I love to escape it. If there's any stories that I missed, please share and I'll check them out. Thank you for watching. A larger project is coming soon. I don't have any viewers yet, but pretending like I do looks exactly the same as actually having them. So, see you next time. Also, please like and subscribe. Okay, bye. Okay, what does that sound? Zoom. Airplane, 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 airplane. As soon as I started filming, I was like, there's no way a plane's gonna show up. These YouTube videos always have a plane show up. There's no way a plane's gonna show up during my video. Zoom.